Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Gittin Daf Aleph Amud Aleph 81A1 says the Mishnah Katav legaresh et ishto v'nimlach. A person writes a get to divorce his wife, and then he changes his mind. He doesn't give it to her. Bet Shammai omrim pesala min hakehuna. Bet Shammai says the fact that he wrote the get, she's psula min d'Rabbanan from getting married to a Kohen. Meaning, even if he dies afterwards and she becomes an almanah, that usually is permitted to get married to a Kohen, she's prohibited to get married to a Kohen. Why? Because he wrote a get, even though he didn't give it to her. But Hillel says no. Even if he gave it to her on condition, that means he gave her the get. Not only wrote it and he gave it to her, but he didn't fulfill the condition. It's still going to be she's kosher to the keuna. Says the Gemara, Shalach le Rav Yosef, bered Rav Menashe Bidvil. The Shmuel sent Rav Yosef, the son of Rav Menashe Bidvil, to Shmuel. Yilamdenu Rabenu. So the Gemara says, our master should teach us. Yatsa alav kol ish ploni kohen katav gal lishtov yoshevet tachtav misham shlo ma'u. What happens if everyone starts saying a rumor that he wrote a get and he gave it to his wife? Sorry, not that he gave it to his wife, but he wrote a get to his wife. And she's underneath him and she's serving him. What's halacha? Do we have to now force him to divorce because Kilu came out a kol? Now remember, he's a Kohen. That's a problem. He's a Kohen. But if it was a regular Jew, okay, fine. Even if he gave her the get, he could come back to her. But it's a Kohen. That's a problem. So Shalach, he went and he said, Tetzeh, v'adavar tzarich b'dika. Yeah, you should know, he has to divorce her. And, right, before we're going to take her out, we have to check. Maihi, what does it mean with this? You have to check. Ilema, if you're going to tell me, we have to check whether we are mevatel the call or not, whether we annul this rumor or not. Narda was the city of Shemuel. Uvenarda lo mevatel kala. And Narda, they don't come and they don't mevatel calls. Ella, but rather, ikaru lenetina ketiva. Do you call giving it, writing it? Meaning, so then he's obligated to it. But when it says katav, it means that he gave it. Do you call writing a get, giving the get, or not? That's the question. Okay, so what? He says, what? Do we actually do that? Do we call giving the get, writing the get? Don't we say that the writing is writing? What does that mean? Yes. Because if it was revealed that that they call giving it, writing it, really, maybe they gave it. Maybe they gave it. Yeah? Okay. That means maybe they gave the get and they just said he wrote a get, but really meant he gave the get.
Can I take her back?
No, because he's a Kohen. 100%. So says the Gemara, Tetzeh, just because of a rumor, she should get divorced. Any type of a rumor which comes after the marriage, we don't pay attention to it. We're not going to come and say, things like that. So says the Gemara, you're right. My Tetzeh Nami, what does it mean Tetzeh? Tetzeh me'asheni. It comes out that if the first husband was a Kohen and he died, and then another Kohen would get married to her, he actually has to divorce her. He has to divorce her. So says the Gemara, if so, 1 second. But then you're going to be mutzilaz on the first children, right? That they're going to be halalim, because they're going to say that she had to get divorced from the second one because be'emet it was true, it was a problem. So says the Gemara, no, given since we only took her out from the second husband and never from the first husband, we're going to say that he only got divorced from her right at the end of his lifetime, and therefore that's from then onwards. But the first children are still going to be kosher. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. Says Rabbi Yochanan, name of Yochanan, name of Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. Look that the first generations were not like the second generations. Meaning, the first generations there was a lot of Yirat Shamayim, Chasidut, and every generation goes down, and we lose that. Hadorot Rishonim Bet Shammai, right? The first generation was Bet Shammai. Dorot Achronim was Rabbi Dosa. Shivuya, right? Which means, what does that mean? That means basically the first generations, they prohibited it to the kiuna even because of writing the get. Later on, right? They were even lekel. The time that we learned in the Braita, Shivuya ochele b'truma. Do you know that even a woman that she's taken in captivity, she's allowed to come and to eat. She's allowed to eat truma. Right, as if that nothing happened. These are the words of Rabbi Dosa. What did the Rabbi do? Meaning what? Just because he fooled around between her chest area, so that's why he's going to make her pasul to kiuna? Meaning basically what he's trying to say is that they would never actually violate them. the maximum that they would do is they would, do things of pritzut, of promiscuity. But mamash to violate them, they wouldn't do such a thing. Meaning, nowadays, because the generation is so low, they do everything. You understand? Even without captivity, anything, they'll just come to do everything. In the olden days, even if she was taken into captivity, they wouldn't violate her. They might fool around a little bit, but they respected that there was a certain, you understand, there was a certain level of respect. Okay? So by the way, you see from here that at the beginning, even writing the get was already enough. And then at the end, even if she was taken into captivity, it was nothing. Okay? As if like nothing happened. Another case, look at another case. Now this, before it was to do with Yirat Shamayim and Chasidut. Now we're talking about Chibuv Mitzvot, how they appreciate the Mitzvot. In the first generations, they used to bring their fruits from the doors in order to be Chayav Maaser. The other ones, they used to bring it's through the windows, like through the roofs and through all these different things, in order to be exempt from Maaser. It says, when is it Maaser? When it sees the face of the house. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. Even if it comes into the chatzer, it's going to be koveat to do maaser. Shneimar ve'achlu b'sharecha v'saveu. Mishnah, bottom of Pe'alef Amud Aleph. Hamgaresh et ishto, if a person comes and he's going to divorce his wife, and then he sleeps with her in an inn. Bet Shammai says, get shani. You don't need another get. Bet Hillel says, you need another get. And that's how we paskin. She needs another get. Matai, when are these words? Only if she got divorced from the nisuin, but not from the irusin, obviously. Because basically, since he was only an anusa, he never actually did anything with her. So therefore, in the olden days, by the way, we're not going to talk about nowadays that they have a short engagement of a few months, whatever it is. Even they used to have a year of an engagement.
Back then?
Back then, yes, yeah. A year between kiddushin and nisuin, meaning the ring and then nisuin. One full year. Now it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes because it's underneath the chuppah they do it. But in the olden days, it was 1 full year. What? There was many different reasons that they wanted to do it together, that they didn't want to, but 1 full year. They would never touch them. It's written. It's a kol kala. Kala surah lebala. Right? Believe kol kala. Believe beracha surah lebala kenida. She's prohibited to her husband like a nida. Mamash. I mean, even if she was pure, even if she went to mikveh, nothing. She's not allowed to be with her husband. Right? And she's married. Married ad kedekach. Somebody sleeps with her, she gets killed. She gets killed. The other guy gets killed. Nothing. Yeah, that's halacha. So here, by the anusa, she would never actually sleep with the man. Okay? There's the Gemara on the bottom of Pe'alef Amud Aleph. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan, the machloket between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel is Bera'ua Shenivala, only if she had relations. Right? Pe'alef Amud Bet, 81b. The Bet Shammai Savre, because a person, Bet Shammai holds, a person will come and make his biyah into znut. And Bet Hillel hold that a person will not make his biyah to bilat znut. Meaning a person will not just stump fool around. Meaning if he's already fooling around, it meant that he wanted to marry her, not just stump. And especially that he was already married to her. So he really wanted to marry her again. But if they did not see her have relations, according to everybody, she does not need another get. So Taran, we learned in the Mishnah, and we are going to be modim that if she got divorced from Irusin, she does not need another get, because Elibogasba. If you saw that she had relations, what do I care? Meaning, if you saw that she had the relations, what do I care whether she was engaged or fully married beforehand? You saw that they have the relations together. So therefore, what are you saying then? If it's from the Nisuin, so that but you see that she had relations. But rather, you're right. Our Mishnah is talking about that they didn't see that they had relations. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan says the time we learned in the Rabbi. If they saw her that she had relations, meaning if they did not see her, right? So everyone is going to be modeh that you don't need to get. But if they did see her, there's still a machlok between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai hold that a person is going to make bilatu bilat znut, and Bet Hillel says en adam oseh bilatu bilat znut. Umatnitin deukimna lo ra'u shenivala. So our Mishnah that we're dealing with, that the Edim did not see that she had relations. What is the machlok of them? There's only a yichud and not edebiyah. So Bet Shammai Savre, the Bet Shammai holds, normally we don't say ehen edi yichud edi yibiyah, meaning that it's not the same thing, edi yichud and edi yibiyah. But Hillel Savre, we say edi yichud or edi yibiyah. Meaning the machlok between them is, do I say that edim on yichud is the exact same thing as edim yibiyah? Meaning, if you have two witnesses, like sotah, and you come and you see a woman or a man going into a house with somebody,
Doesn't mean
you're going to start saying, listen, you know what? You're going to start suspecting maybe. That's the question. Do you say edei yichud or edei biyah or not? So Bet Shammai hold, we do not say edei yichud or edei biyah. And Bet Hillel says edei yichud or edei biyah. That's like the anan tzadeh. Okay? So therefore he says umodim, but they agree. You don't need to get right from the Irusin. The Kevan de Libo Gaspa, but since he doesn't know her that well, what does that mean? That means he knows her, but he doesn't know her moves. He doesn't know her well enough to start going to bed. You understand? So he says, because then we're not going to say Henen de Biyah. So says Rabbi Yochanan, does Rabbi Yochanan actually say that the machlok between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel is to do with edim that they saw of biyah or not? Rabbi Yochanan says the like a stam yishna, right? They didn't see that she had relations, and says you're right. There's a machlok of the Moraim and the shita of Rabbi Yochanan, and therefore, right, there's two different girsaot. Right, what is the shita of Rabbi Yochanan? Okay, sure. The majority of the Rishonim, they paskin like the girsa of our Mishnah and the machlok between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. And therefore, according to this, a woman would need a second get, whether the witnesses saw that she had relations, or even if they just had yichud together. Meaning they went into the house by themselves together, or the hotel by themselves together. It's already enough. They need a second get. That's how we pass in the Hechal. Right, Mishnah. Yeah, the Mishnah on Pe'alef Amubet. Mishnah says on 81b, says the Mishnah, Kenasah beget kereach. A person comes and he gets married, right, with a get kereach. So he has to get divorced from the first husband, the second husband, and everything that we mentioned before. Get kereach, what is a get kereach exactly? Right? He says, Mashlimim alav. Everybody's kosher to come and to finish it off because they're not really signing off on it. So we're gonna have to actually see what is get kereach and everything. Okay, so basically, he comes and he says get kereach. There's a get. Okay, we're gonna speak about all these things. Okay, so he comes and he says, right, like this. First of all, a get, which is called a get pashut, that's a regular get. There's something which is called a get mikushar. Get mikushar is that after the sofer writes one line or two lines or more, he folds it. Okay, and then, right, and then they write another lines. And basically what happens is, right, that on every single outside, he makes like sharim, like he makes like a knot. And therefore they say that you have to make a minimum of 3. So it's like a fold, right? A fold. That's called get mekushar. Now there's going to be a get kereach, which we're going to speak about in our Mishnah. So he says get kereach, everybody could come and finish off the get. So he says, even if it's going to be an Eved Kanani, a Gazlan, a this, everyone can finish it off. Kiva says, no, only family members can come and sign it. That you could usually sign somewhere else. What is get kereach? If you have more ksharim than the edim. Okay? So says the Gemara, my tama get kereach. Why do we say that the get kereach is pasul? So basically, you come, you have the folds. And remember, if you would take off the folds and open it, you have like empty spaces in between. So it's not a get which is straight down. Nowadays, by the way, even by Sfaradim, many times they'll do it, but not all Sfaradim, they'll make what's called meureh. Meureh is that, for example, if they have a nun, they'll make a very long nun. If they have a lamed, they'll make a very tall lamed. And if they have, why do they do all those things? All those things they do it so that way you can't write in between the lines. So that means they make it in such a way that there's 12 lines, right? And they will not be able to write in between the lines, because if you have the lamed coming up and the nun coming down and this coming up and this, so then you can't do it. Okay? So he comes and he says now like this. He says, right? Get kereach hakol. Sorry. So why is it pasul? Gezerah mishum kullechem. It's a gezerah because maybe he came and he said all of you are going to sign on the get. Fine. Get kereach hakol mashlimim alav. Get kereach. We said everybody could sign it. Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Kohen, Rabbi Kiva, why can't an Eved not sign it? Atilmim, because people are going to say kasher le'edut. It is kasher le'edut. So says the karov nami to the kasher do it. One second, also a karov. So he says, you're right. The reason why an Eved is not going to be good is maybe an Eved, you're going to bring him up, that he's going to be a kosher person. Meaning, if you all of a sudden come, you see an Eved coming and signing, you say, he's a Jew. He's signing. He's a Jew. No. Gazlan, the Bar Yuchasinu, Yitkasher. So he says, what about a Gazlan? A Gazlan should be kosher because he's Bar Yuchasin. So Allah Matra, what do we learn in Mishnah? Kiva says, Zema should be Krovim. How do you learn in Mikabachet? So he says, Karov in Gazlan. No, only a Karov and not a Gazlan. But rather, the reason why an Eved cannot be an Ed as a witness, people are going to say that they freed him. Gazlan Nami, people are going to say that he did Teshuvah. Karov, what are they going to say by Karov? Karov, everyone knows that he does a Karov. Meaning like this, when a person's a family member, you don't choose your family, you know? Some people always say that. There's everything that you could choose, but not your family, you know? Yeah, I mean, you can't choose your family. It's a family. Gamarno, there's nothing what to do, right? So therefore, because of that, so he says, so therefore you get family members to sign because everyone knows it's a family member. But he says, but when we're talking about an Eved, he could have been freed. When about a Gazlan, a thief, he could have done Teshuvah. So if you're going to let him sign, people are going to say, he did Teshuvah, so now I'm going to use him for this. But he's still a Gazlan. So don't use him for these things, or don't start putting things in people's minds. Okay? Amar Rabbi Zera, Amar Rabbi Rashivta, says Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Rashivta. Amar Rabbi Menuna Saba, says Rabbi Menuna Saba, Amar Rabbi Barava. Get kereach, sheksharav shiv'ah. What happens now if you have 7 knots, like 7 ksharim? Ve'edav shisha, there's only 6 witnesses. 6 ksharim and 5 witnesses. 5 ksharim and 4 witnesses. 4 ksharim and 3 witnesses. Ad kan, that is a machlok between Menanas and Rabbi Akiva. Chaval ksharav shlosha ve'edav shnayim. But if you have ksharim 3 and 2 witnesses, according to everybody, ema shlimim alav, Ela karov. According to everybody, you could only use a karov.
What do the
Let it be zera. Let it be l'Rabbi Bar Shilta. Says it be zera to Rabbi Bar Shilta. Michti. Let us see. Kol shlosha b'mekushar kishnayim begepashudami. Anytime that you have 3 witnesses in a get mekushar, it's like 2 witnesses in a regular get. Mahatam karov lo. Just like by 2 witnesses, you can never have a family member. So too here by 3, you shouldn't have a family member. Meaning, if we're saying that it's the same halacha, that when you have the get mekushar, this certain type of a get, you need minimum of 3 witnesses. So just like when you have a regular get, you need minimum of 2 witnesses, and 2 witnesses have to be kosher witnesses. It cannot be a family member. So 2 to 3 witnesses should be kosher witnesses. They cannot be a family member. So Elmaleh tells him, after the Kashli, I also had this question. Shada asked it to Rabbi Muna. Rabbi Muna asked Rabbi Baraba. He says, no, because at the end of the day, it's not the Doraita. Meaning, Mina Torah, you do not need 3 witnesses ever. You only need 2. So because of that, since the 3rd witness is only the Rabbanan, they were mekel that you could use a family member. Tanya Miyachi also learned this in Braita, get kereach sheksharav shiva, ve'edav shisha, or shisha ve'edav chamisha, chamisha ve'edav arba'a, arba'a ve'edav shosha, ad ka machlok ben Anas Rabbi Akiva. Until now, it's a machlok between Rabbi Akiva and Ben Anas. Hishlim alav eved, right? If they got an eved to sign it, or a woman, right? And then if they got an eved to sign it, and then the woman went and she got married, then Anas says of Vlad kasher. Rabbi Akiva says of Vlad is mamzer. According to everybody, and mashlimim alav ela karov. Okay. Rav Yosef Matri, Rav Yosef comes and he says, in a case where the last one, he says it's going to be kasher. Even the karov does not help in this case, which means according to everybody, you're not going to be only an ed kasher, not even a karov. So ask the Gemara, Tanya, I thought you said that a karov could do it. Amarapa patani kasher velo karov, meaning don't have the girsa that a karov could do it. Only kasher, meaning according to this shita of Rav Yosef, even when you have 3 witnesses, you need all 3 kasherim. Not only 2 kasherim, 3 kasher. Meaning the 3rd one cannot be a karov, it has to be kasher, a kosher witness. Cannot be a family member. Family member is not a kosher witness. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, Lo sherubo ela ed echad karov bilvad. We only say that it's going to be kosher, 1 ed echad, 1 karov. Aval trei lo, but not 2 witnesses which are krovim. Then you're going to be mekayim the shtar with 2 family members and 1 ed. So Ravashi says, you could also deduce that from our Mishnah, Pebet Amud Aleph on the top, Tekamedaleg, Vetani Chad Chad, because the Braita went and was going 1 by 1, Shema Mina, meaning that since it said, it kept on going, the different numbers, right, of, 7, 6, 6, 7, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, since it was doing like that, Shema Mina, right, that it's going to be, in all these cases, it's still considered a get kereach, right, and therefore, you could only have 1 karov being mashlim the get according to Rabbi Yochanan. Am Rabbi, Abaye says, Shema Mina, we learn from here, Hai Karov, this Karov, Chatim Ibai, he could sign, whether at the beginning of the get, the middle of the get, or the end of the get. Mimai, how do we know this? We didn't say where. Meaning, if you say that the Karov is allowed to sign, Karov is a family member, is allowed to sign, but you didn't give me a direction where. So therefore, you see, you could sign anywhere. Beginning, middle, end. Ushma Mina, we also learn from here. Mikol Tlata Mikayminan, from all three, you're going to be Mikayim, and you don't need the Ratzuf, which means you don't need Dafka 3 signatures one after another. Even if the signature is here in the middle, and here at the end, it's still going to be okay. The Isa, because if you're going to tell me you need Ritzufin, so then make a Makon Kavua for the Karov, whether at the beginning, or the middle, or the end. And then you're going to make it kosher. So when they came in front of Rami, he told them, Save Hashem alav, go sign with an Evid from a Shuk. Because it comes out that all the Psulei Adut are going to be kosher, like Shitat Ben Nanas. Meaning it's mashma that we're passing like Ben Nas, and not like the Bi Akiva Hadran Alach Azorek.